got the carnage going. Man, quite a saga for this bike. Yeah, I was able to get the wheel back into good shape. I replaced 3 spokes, trued it up. It's looking pretty true, I think. But I'm pretty tired right now. This whole one-by situation didn't end up working the way I was hoping it would. Basically, so just to, oh hey Charlie, lol. So just to, I guess, put everything in a quick explanation. Man, that sentence is horrible. Basically, so I had this Dior derailleur. And I just watched this video because I was like, why the fuck? It was shifting horribly. It was just, it wasn't able to, I mean, the cage is super long. So it had plenty of room to get all the way up that 1136 cassette. But shifting through it, it was horrible. It was slow to go up and down. There was no adjustment. Again, there's no barrel adjuster. So I was trying to figure out some way to put in some inline barrel adjusters and stuff. But it was just not working. So I was like, well, Jesus, I mean, this whole bike, like, I don't want to have a bike that I'm not able to use. Like, the coolest thing I liked about this bike, the way I had it set up, was that it had that 46 by 34 in the front, and then it had the 1136 in the back, so super, super low gears. And really, that's not something I want to sacrifice with this bike. So I ordered a Tiagra front derailleur braze-on. I've ordered a long cage Tiagra rear derailleur. And those things will arrive later this week from Performance, and I'll have a fun time, I guess, putting that all together. Yeah, I want that super, super low gear configuration. Like, I can't sacrifice that. So this whole project, I still have all these pieces, a bunch of stuff, and nothing is going to go away. So I still have options to do things in the future, but as of now, the priority is to get the bike just back to the condition it was previously in. And so the Fuji Altamira that I'm currently using, that has the configuration of 5034 in the front with 11 by 28 in the back, and I like that. It's a higher gearing overall for that bike, and it works well in the city. I've enjoyed riding it these past few days, but for this bike, man, you just can't beat 34, 36. I mean, I haven't even had to use that configuration, but just the fact that it's there in the arsenal, I mean, I got to get that back. Like, otherwise, there's no point to have both of these bikes, because, at this point, the Fuji Altamira, I think that bike might even give me a lower gear ratio than this one, because that's 34/28, and this one's currently I had to throw a different cassette on, because I had that 1136 over there on here, and I have a short cage 105 derailleur that I was just trying out, and that derailleur wouldn't work with the 36 tooth cassette. It was just grinding on the pulley wheels. So my lowest gear with this is 42/32, and I don't even know what the math is on that. I am kind of curious. I gotta take these little poopers for a walk and get them really tired. So just for the sake of putting a number on it, I want to see. Let's see, which bike currently has the lowest possible gearing. So for the Altamira, we got 1.2, 42/32, 1.3. Yeah. So without buying anything new, this is the lowest configuration I can get with gears, which is just not acceptable. It's unfortunate. I mean, I wouldn't want to be. I had a really sweet setup, and it was a stupid jump, an unnecessary jump that took all that away, so I'm paying for that now. Literally, just ordered the parts, And in fact, I think I really like having both of those Fujis with a disc fork. So it'd be nice to get another fork for both Fujis, like an aluminum fork for both, so I don't have to have that stupid carbon fork. I really don't like it. So yeah, this is a project deferred. I guess for the rest of tonight, I'll just go ahead and clean everything up and hang everything up, and we'll wait for those parts to arrive. I'm gonna pick them up from the store later this week. So that'll give me something to do, something to semi look forward to. I'll get to go there either on my break at work or after work one day, probably. Well, it could be either. So that'll be fun. And in the meantime, I'm gonna look into potentially getting another fork for the Fujis, which would also require switching out crown races. But I have a crown race for the Fuji that's on my suspension fork. I could take that off and put that on. So yeah, no, I still got options, and I'm investigating them more. But for the moment, that 1x setup with the Dior rear derailleur, though pretty sweet in theory, didn't end up working out. And that's kind of how things go. It's anytime you attempt a project where you're basically trying to retrofit something or change something, there's always going to be unforeseen and unforeseeable aspects of that you're going to have to either troubleshoot your way around, or they're just going to be, like in this case, dead ends that you just have to make other plans. I felt like there was one more thing. Oh yeah, I watched a video about derailleurs and shifters, just because I was like, I would enjoy getting a scientific understanding of why this system that I'm trying to put together doesn't work, because in my head, theoretically, it made sense. It's like you have two Shimano systems, both are 10-speed, both, I guess, is that where the similarity? Well, the cassettes were both compatible with each other. So that's not, yeah, in my mind, it was all about spacing. But in this case, I guess the real thing about the compatibility between shifter and derailleur, the issue comes with the actual fulcrum point. And this starts to get into physics that's a bit beyond me. But basically, so for instance, the derailleur for the Dior, or the fulcrum point for the Dior derailleur is at a different location in the actual derailleur as opposed to the Tiagra shifter. So like, I guess when you shift the shifter up the cassette, I remember, I am tired. Basically, that shifter, it pulls a certain amount of cable, like a certain, let's just say 2.3 millimeters of cable, and that 2.3 millimeters is the effective amount of cable that needs to be pulled in order for that fulcrum point to be actuated so that it goes up the cassette one shift. And so it's all about the interplay between the shifter and the derailleur. And so with the Dior, at least in this configuration, you have a 10-speed Dior, and properly used, there's a thumb shifter and a trigger, and so the fulcrum point's being engaged by that thumb shifter and trigger in a way that pulls the correct amount of cable. And when you use a road style shifter, it's just different. It doesn't, I don't know what the difference is numerically, but I have definitely, without a doubt, confirmed that those two systems are not compatible. So that's fine, it's a learning experience. I know when you start to mix and match different speed group sets, then you can actually kind of work with those differences. Like I think 9-speed Tiagra shifters are compatible with 10-speed Dior derailleurs. I've seen that configuration on like Surleys and stuff like that. And in fact, I mean, I have some 9-speed Tiagra shifters in my my tool or my spares collections and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, I don't think I don't remember those working great, and the shifter lever itself is so small compared to the new style ones. Like I was just a second ago, I was kind of intrigued by the idea of like, well, maybe I could try to use that 9-speed shifter with that Dior derailleur, but then the problem is I have a 10-speed cassette, so I only have 9 indexed positions that shifter can go to, so that means I wouldn't be able to get to my lowest gear. So it'd be another roadblock where I wouldn't be able to go beyond a certain, stopping point, basically. So, I don't know. It's not bad, considering the projects that I had this weekend, and the other things I wanted to do outside of them as well. Like, it's been a very successful use of time. I was able to go for a 40-mile ride today, get a few presents for Erica, pick up a few other things on the Fuji, the Altamira. It rained a lot today. Jesus, it was like an hour and a half of rain, or maybe just an hour. Which was fine. My clothes dry quickly, but I need to grease that chain and clean it as well. It was pretty nasty when I saw it just now. So, yeah, I mean, Erica's bike's all set up now. I'm excited for her to try that. She hasn't tried it yet. She's out with some friends now, getting drinks at Claremont Lounge. Everything with the Fuji Altamira worked out well, so that bike's sitting pretty. And it was worth the learning experience with the SL just to figure out how things worked in terms of the compatibility of all the parts that I have. So now I guess I just have a mountain bike group set that isn't being used for anything. I don't even know what I could use it for. I have visions now of converting. It would be interesting to convert my road bike. I wouldn't like that. I was thinking put flat bars on the SL. That sounds stupid though. I don't know why I would want to do that. I don't know how that would be like a cool thing to do. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna look at forks now. See if I find something cheap on Performance that looks like a decent fork that won't break. And I guess that's that for now anyway. Probably come back tomorrow. We're doing a little family dinner tomorrow for Erica. So, probably another update on everything tomorrow, end of day. And in the meantime, the search for getting everything back online continues.